Right, so if there's anyone in desperate need of a good headline right now, it's Rishi Sunak, isn't it? Especially as large chunks of the country prepare to go to the polls tomorrow for local elections, widely expected to be an absolute drubbing for the Tories, deservedly so. Set to work out even worse than perhaps expected, given the seats that are up for grabs this time around were last contested under the height of Boris Johnson's popularity. But of course the absurdly rich, out of touch and completely mandateless and unelected Prime Minister is staking everything this year, looking more ahead to a general election, or perhaps running away from one, the thought of one anyway, on Rwanda. And in that vein, the Murdoch Scum rag, as we on the left prefer to call it, the scum, because after all the sun is something warm and bright and shiny, yet the paper named after it is a bleak pit of despair where the truth goes to die, that shares more in common with something frothy and stinky being discharged into the sea by Thames Water. They have published a piece talking about the first asylum seeker having now been deported to Rwanda. But the truth of this matter is anything but what the scum are telling us, of course. Right, so, the Murdoch Scum. They've gone full grift for Rishi Sunak, it seems, grifting harder than Captain Tom's family for him, desperately floundering around in their own filth to try and find a good news story, a positive headline for this pathetic PM, currently enjoying a popularity rating amongst much of the British populace akin to somewhere so dark, dank, smelly and horrible that even the cockroaches have moved out. So what have the scum coughed up onto their pages to help little Rishi out with then, Damo? What sputum of a story have they concocted? It's Rwanda. Let's peddle a story about Rwanda, and what an opportunity befell the scum's top floater masquerading as a journalist, Harry Cole, who thankfully put out a tweet so I didn't have to risk burning my retinas looking at the pages of said publication. That's a generous term for it. Not that I would have done, because I flat refuse to ever use that hate rag as any kind of reference in my work whatsoever. And if you think I'm perhaps being a bit harsh to Cole in my description there, well, when he's the sort of person who looks so adoringly as this at Boris Johnson of all people, I think it tells you everything you need to know about him. At any rate, he put out a tweet saying, "Exclusive! Britain has removed the first failed asylum seeker to Rwanda, the Sun can reveal. The unnamed migrant was flown out of the UK on Monday evening. Historic moment, as first time UK has relocated a failed asylum seeker to a third country." There's a good reason it's an exclusive though, isn't there, Harry? That will be because it is complete bunkum, total fabrication and lies. And I don't need to go any further than the BBC of all sources to disprove this claim of yours. You know, the entire story is grubby, dishonest, gut rot. If not for a piece the BBC actually put out in March, I'd almost go so far as to say they've exposed the scum's lies because Sunak didn't go to them first. But on the other hand, so few people are, I think, taken in by government claims regarding Rwanda anymore that even the BBC recognises it isn't even in their best interest to go this far for this government. Right, so first let's pick out the one honest thing in this tweet, which is the person in question that has gone to Rwanda was a failed asylum seeker. That bit was true. But that's it. That's the only honest thing in the entire tweet. The rest of it is utter rubbish. The asylum seeker in question was not removed to Rwanda because they were paid to go there. Yes, we paid them to go there. This person who will have presumably risked their life to get here by small boat, because there is no legal alternative route to get here after all, unless you're from somewhere the government has a special deal with. Ukraine certainly. I can't imagine they're deporting them to Rwanda. Afghanistan supposedly, but not really in practice, has failed in their asylum claim for whatever reason. We don't know. And as part of a voluntary scheme, not the Rwanda deportation bill at all, it has nothing to do with that. This is a completely separate deal. The government have now handed over £3,000 of public money to get this person to go to Rwanda willingly. Only Rishi Sunak could manage to unite both rotten lefties and frothing right-wing migrant bashers over the stupidity of this plan. For rotten lefties like me, it'll always disgust me that there is no legal asylum route at all, that the government thinks being so abjectly cruel to people who got here for whatever reason and failed in their asylum application. But if their country of origin is a safe one, and by that I mean actually safe, not just legislated as such like Rwanda has been by the Tories, they should be returned there, surely. For me, where is the logic of paying these people £3,000? For the right-winger, they'll have been looking perhaps at the cost of the Rwanda scheme already, nearly £500 million spent on deporting people, of which none have yet been deported, and here is the government spending even more money to pay people to go there. On top of that, worse, When the BBC did report on this last month, as I alluded to a moment ago, they reported that Tory Business Minister Kevin Hollinrake had said that this is a good use of public money and that he didn't think the appeal of a free £3,000 would encourage people to come here. And these people think they can be trusted on the economy, that they can be trusted with money. I tell you what, Kev, I bet £3,000 free money does encourage them to come here. I don't think it puts them off. Think of what they might be paying the people traffickers. If they can get here, they can either claim the asylum they want, or at least get some of their money back before getting sent to Africa. What planet were these people born on? Funnily enough, Hollinrake's comments were reported in the Times following an interview on Times Radio. So this was the Murdoch press in March via the Times saying one thing, and this month saying the scheme is something else entirely in the Scum. You see, the Murdoch press, they don't report the news, they try to shape public opinion. It's no wonder Murdoch loves to claim he picks the Prime Minister at every general election, isn't it? One publication saying one thing, another one saying completely the opposite. But the other absolute whopper of a claim by Harry Cole in his tweet there was that this was an historic first in the UK relocating a failed asylum seeker to a third country. It isn't, and isn't anything close to being true. Last year alone, 19,253 people were voluntarily removed from the UK, and of these, 3,319 received a reintegration package or paid flights by the Home Office. As far as this Rwanda voluntary scheme goes, there appears to be no limit on it either as to how many people annually will qualify. Therefore, there seems to be no limit on how much money the government will hand out to however many people these are, nor is there any time frame set within which these voluntary deportations would happen in either. So one has been sent quickly already, but goodness knows how long it'll be before another one gets sent. Also, if the Tories were so interested in value for money, of the 5,700 potential Rwanda deportees they've identified, apparently only 2,143 of them continue to report to the Home Office. The rest of them, they've lost. They have no idea where they are. So, perhaps try spending some of this money finding them instead of paying others to leave, eh? Now, the Tories are still trying to claim this is a success story. Kemi Badenoch, a woman who signed off on renewal of arms licences to Israel a week after 3 British aid workers were killed, so evidently not someone with a reputation for being anything other than utterly cold-blooded, has been bleating that people taking up the deal proves Rwanda is a safe country. But actually all it proves is that you can send these people anywhere and they'd be happy to go because you've given them £3,000 of public money to go with. People who could be trying to get back for second helpings at some point in the future. Yet flip that on its head, and a lot of people have, instead of taking the money, been seeking legal assistance instead to fight having to make that choice. Which also implies, if this was such a good idea, why have more people not taken it up? Why have more people not gone after all? So far, only one person has. And this scheme opened up when the BBC reported on it first, back in March of this year. So it's a relatively new scheme, but a stupid one. It's a stunt. It's a poor attempt at PR, and people should once more be reminded why so many of us in this country say do not look at the sun. It'll make you go blind. And I'm not talking about the big glowing ball of gas in the sky either. They'd have you believe Sunak's plan is working, using people's misfortune as spin for the very government heaping out the cruelty. Frankly, if you buy that hateful rag, you're as bad as the people who write for it. But if you think £3,000 is value for money to send these people away, I can just imagine some of the comments writing themselves from this video at this point. You know they're out there. You know they're going to come. Perhaps watch this video instead and save yourself the effort of typing long words. This is a video recommendation here on the cost of Sunak's Rwanda scheme, and this pay-to-leave scheme running alongside it now being added cost-wise on top. It's all your money after all they're spending, public money. You might want to know the scale of the waste on this. Remember that Sunak has bet his house on this scheme to save his backside, and just how badly he's likely to fail because of that. And he deserves nothing less. I'll hopefully catch you on the next vid. Cheers, folks.